In this video, we're going to be looking at how we can take a drawing of a very plain looking A-line skirt and adding gathers. The primary reason for creating this is to show you how to make those gathers at the bottom. So I've already drawn this simple skirt. So what we're going to do, you can see here that I've just got this very straight line across the bottom of the skirt. And as that's what we're concentrating on, I'm just going to zoom in on this area. And I'm going to add in some points. These are going to be the starting points for our curves. So I'm going to use the Add Anchor Point tool. This is this one here that looks like a little pen nib with a plus next to it. And I'm going to start by putting a point right in the middle, okay? And then I'm going to try and keep my gathers fairly even. So I'm going to just use some of these markers on the mannequin underneath to kind of help me out as to where to put these points. Like so. So I've put some points in there, and I can just pick each one of these up and drag it down. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give myself a little guide. Now I don't want to make these really exaggerated and very deep because they'll look completely unnatural. So I'm just going to put the guide in just a little distance away from my existing hemline. And then using the direct selection tool, I can just pick this up and drag them down. You're going to do every other one. So you're going to leave this one in situ and then click this one. And it's probably easier just to use the cursor arrow. So I'm just using the downward arrow just to move these down onto that guideline. It is just a guideline, so you don't have to get too strung up about distance and what have you, but that's the kind of zigzaggy effect that we're going for on our hemline. Now what we need to do is to turn these into some curves. Now I'm going to show you two different methods. The first method is a nice simple method for beginners because it doesn't involve any extra drawing. And then I'm going to show you another slightly more advanced method, which you know, it's not impossible, but it does take a little bit more skill. So just watch both, decide which one you prefer. The first one gives the impression of not quite so full skirt, but as I say, it doesn't require so much drawing. So I'm going to just take the anchor point tool here, and the first curves I'm going to deal with are these ones on the bottom row. So I'm going to just click on this anchor point and I'm just going to pull straight. Now if you want to make sure that you're pulling straight, you can hold down the shift key and it will constrain that line. And I'm going to continue pulling until my handles of my of coming out of this anchor point line up with a point above. Now if you have a look at the left hand handle as it comes into line, okay, I'm going to let go here. Okay, now if I over pull, you can see we get this bulge on the edge of the dress there. We want to avoid that bulge, so I want to bring that in to there. Now I know it won't bulge if I'm just lining those up like so. And I'm going to continue to do that on these bottom curves that I'm creating. Oops, a daisy, it's overcooked it a little bit. We're going to deal with this in a tiny moment, and that's just a little bit of a mitre problem. Oops. Okay, now these little sharp miters we've got going on here is because currently at the moment the stroke on my drawing is using a square miter. So if I go to my stroke panel, you can see that the corners are set for a miter join. I'm going to change that to a rounded join, and instantly that problem goes away. I'm also going to use rounded caps, although it's a closed path, so it's a bit surplus requirements, but there we go. So I'm just going to close that down, and then I'm going to add curves into these top points now. So I'm going to start again, and I'm just going to pull, and once again I'm only pulling as far as one of these anchor points down here. I'm having to kind of point with my cursor there. So when I get to about there, that'll be about right, and it'll give the illusion of a gentle pleat in the fabric, okay, as though there wasn't that much fabric in the skirt. Okay, so if I just pull that out to there, and then I'm going to carry on doing the same thing, always just going to the point of where that first handle lines up with the point like that. It doesn't matter if it doesn't line up on the other side. As you can see, this handle is quite a distance from that point there, but that doesn't matter. It's always when the first handle meets the first point. So if this handle had come on top of this point first, that's when we would have stopped. Okay, I'm going to pull out to there, and you can see this time it's the opposite, so it's this handle lining up with this point, and then once again like so. So it's this handle lining up with this point. Okay, so that will do for now. And to make these look more curvy, I'm just going to use my pen tool, and I'm going to add in some lines. Now I could take these all the way up the skirt like so, hit return, and just draw these. Now when you draw these, they kind of come together a little bit, so they're almost like creating like a funnel effect. Now they're the same width all the way up, which doesn't look particularly great. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to select them both and go to my stroke panel again, and I'm going to change the profile from uniform, and I'm going to choose this one, which is width profile number 4. It looks like a little wizard's hat, and you can see now that the line is tapered, so we get this much more natural look. And it's this addition of these lines that really help make the drawing come to life a little bit. Remember, to stop drawing a line, you just hit the return key on your keyboard, and the line will end. Try not to make them all end at exactly the same point. So you want some a little shorter, some a little longer than others, unless they're going all the way up to the waistband, which we'll do it in just a second. So there we go. So if I shift select all of these, so I'm holding down the shift key to make sure I can select more than one thing at a time, select them all and change the profile, and there we go. So there you can see we've got some little gathers in our skirt, but you can see that it's kind of flat fronted here. So whilst it's fuller than an A-line skirt, it's not much fuller. Okay, it's got simple pleats. Now the reason this one's simple is because it doesn't involve us having to draw any additional shapes down here. But what I'm going to do for you now is I'll show you. I'm just undoing what I've just done, and I'm going to just come back to these curves that we've drawn, and I'm going to show you if we exaggerate the whoops, that's the guide I'm picking up there, so I'll just delete that. So if I pick up this curve here and pull the handles so if I were to pull this handle like so, and this one like this, so we're over exaggerating all the bends like this. Trying not to move the drawing. Okay, so I'm over bending the lines like this. So I'll just keep going. Now, by doing this, I'm actually creating like a negative shape, and we need to address that. So what we're going to do next is work out how we're going to deal with that shape. Just going to exaggerate this one a little bit. Like so. So now what we've got is this funny little area where we should be able to see the back of the fabric, but of course there's nothing here. So now what we need to do is create another shape. Now a lot of people struggle with this, but it's actually quite straightforward. So if I zoom in so you can see exactly what I'm doing, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this line with the direct selection tool, and I'm going to imagine my, if I were to draw a line up here, that's the shape that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some anchor points onto my path, because I've got one here and I've got one over here, but I actually want one here and I want one above it, like so. And then what I'm going to do is, using the direct selection tool, is I'm going to select this little piece of path here, this line segment, and I'm going to copy it and paste it in front. So Command C, Command F, or Control C and Control F if you're using a PC. And you can see now that I've got this little piece of line segment, and all I need to do is right click and join it up together, and we've got this shape which I can now fill with a grey colour, and you can see there that we've got our fold in our fabric, and then I can continue to do that all the way along. So let's have another go so you get an idea of how this is done. So once again I'm adding some anchor points in like that, then deselect the line and reselect. So I'm clicking between these two new points that I've added. Okay, so I'm going to copy that piece of line segment. So I'm going to copy that. So Command C or Control C and Command or Control F to paste in front, and then right click and join. And I'm going to just continue to do this all the way along. So once you get into the rhythm of doing this, it becomes fairly simple. So I'm using keyboard shortcuts here. So if I press the Command key down, I can select that with the selection tool, add in my my points like that, and then press the Command key, deselect, reselect that. Oops, reselect that line segment, copy it, paste it in front, and then Command J to join, or right click and join, whichever you prefer. So same thing here, add a point, Command key, deselect and reselect, copy, paste in front, and Command J join. And there we have it. So you can see that I've got all these done. So now I can select them all, like so. Eyedropper tool, so I just pressed I on my keyboard and pick up that, and you can see they look quite good. And then same technique again, I'm going to go back to my pen tool, and I'm going to draw some simple paths all the way up to the waistband. Hit return. I can move these when I'm done. I can see I've overshot a little bit. I'm just zoomed out so I can see the whole of the skirt. So I will have to tidy this up in a second. That's okay. And you can see now by overfolding the fabric, the skirt looks fuller. By taking the lines all the way up to the waistband, I think I've over bent that one, it should really be about there. I'm just going to tidy up my drawing. I don't want to go over the waistband, just up to the waistband. And then I'm going to select each of those lines like we did before, pick them all up and change the profile. Okay, now I'm not very happy with how this skirt bends up here. It's okay on the simpler pleat, but now what we need is like an extra piece of fabric, if you like, because this skirt is too full to just end like this. So we almost need to see the skirt as it goes round the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line, maybe from about here to about here, and just drop that in there. Hit return to stop drawing. I'm just going to put a tiny curve on that, quite high up. Like so. It's got this grey fill on it, so I'm just going to take that off for now. And then I need a little curve on this bottom here, and then just move this point down a tad. That's more like it. And then what I need to do is I need to make that a closed path. So I'm going to use the outside edge of this skirt, and I'm going to oops, I've just thought of another way of doing this, but I'll stick with what I know rather than trying new things on a video. Oops. There we are. So I'm going to come up to here, and I'm just going to select and add an anchor point around this point on my skirt, like that. And then another one here, and then pick up that line segment, copy paste in front, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to join it to this new bit. So I think the easiest thing for me to do is actually lock my other drawing down, select those 2 points in the corner and join them. There we are. And then select these 2 points up here and join. Now I only need to do that once because I can just flip it across like this. So I've selected it with the selection tool, choose reflect, hold down the shift key, the alt key on my keyboard, position my cursor on that center blue line. It really doesn't matter where you can go anywhere at all on that blue line. So I've come down here just to prove a point and click copy, and there we go. So now we've got a nice full gathered skirt, and you can tidy up. So I can see things like this, these don't look great, so I can pick these up and move them. And if you wanted to, you could make them grey rather than black if that's your drawing style. It's entirely up to you. So I'm just going to make these look a little bit neater. There we go. So there's my my skirt more or less finished. Okay, and that's it.